chestnut tree was almost empty. A ray of sunlight slanting through a window fell on dusty tabletops. It was the lonely hour of 15. A tinny music trickled from the telescreens. Winston sat in his usual corner, gazing into an empty glass. Now and again he glanced up at a vast face which eyed him from the opposite wall. "Big Brother is watching you," the caption said. Unbidden, a waiter came.
Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow.
Welcome back, dear listeners. Jay and I want to say thank you for your patience as we get our podcasting legs back. It's been a little hectic around here for a long time, but September is finally here. I woke up to let the dogs out this morning, and it was mighty chilly out.
Brr.
Jay and I are both avid readers, and this is the season to whip out those books. And although our work pulls us away from reading as much as we'd like to, the topic of reading always brings up intense conversations with us, mostly because the act of reading these days has become an act of resistance.
That's right. And I don't know about you, but there's this sense of guilt looking at the pile of books on the nightstand, and also a judgment sort of about how we're actually spending our time. It's not just that we're not reading, we're just reading snippets here and there, emails, headlines. It's a different, more frantic kind of literacy.
Yes, and I was also talking to another old friend of mine who has complained for years that the kids don't read anymore. Even though around, the 2010, the Common Core State Standards began to demand a specific level of reading comprehension across all the subject matters, which actually made it a nightmare for all these teachers. And, that meant that for most of their classes, the students were required to do a set amount of reading for each class, and their parents and teachers would have to keep a log of how long the kid read each week. One of my foster kids was falling behind, so she wasn't even allowed to read, what they considered baby books. She had to read books that were labeled specific for her grade level.
Yeah, it's really sad. I think we can translate reading comprehension in this instance as just extract, regurgitate.
Exactly. And furthermore, here in Colorado, in 2012, our state enacted the READ Plan. I'm telling you, having been around at that point, rearing children, it was a nightmare, which required kids between the grades of 4 and 12 to be at their grade reading level. And yet in 2024, this is just last year, Colorado's 4th and 8th graders ranked 36, meaning the percentage among all the children in the state, 36% of the kids in our state were at national and state reading comprehension levels. And this state is considered one of the highest ranking states in the country for the average number of kids who can actually read. So I don't know. I find something a little off, considering 36% of the students in the entire state as a whole that are at the expected reading skill level, and they consider that really high ranking. And these results are coming from the Colorado Department of Education. And yes, we still have one of those.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 36%. Let that number sink in for a minute. Our education system is just so focused on testing comprehension, grade levels, and just spitting out the correct answers. We teach kids how to read, and at the same time, we're kind of killing the reason why they would want to in the first place.
Exactly. Like, I don't know, enjoyment maybe, but God forbid, right? Well, taking all of this into consideration, call me a conspiracy theorist, but I feel like the use of those iPads, and I remember that year. I remember the exact year that they decided every student in the state was going to get their own iPad. So much emphasis was, banked towards using all those online resources and paraphrased info. I think that it's contributed to the decline of going to the library or Barnes & Noble and picking up a book and reading it and being able to comprehend it. Talk about attention span. Focus and engaging your brain is required when you actually read a book. God forbid you should exercise that muscle, that gray matter in our heads.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't think you're a conspiracy theorist. I mean, it's happening. We've got a population that can't focus, has trouble engaging with complex narratives, can't follow a logical argument for more than a tweet's length. That's a population that's easier to manage. And at the risk of being a little repetitive, that's not a bug of the system, that's a feature.
Very well put. And, well, here we go. And that's exactly what brings us to this idea that if you have a thinking, reflective human being, reflective, intelligent, independent souls do not normally comply. Mm-hmm. Which brings us to the amount of books that have been banned or challenged, especially in the last 8 years, and the reasons behind that. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Right. Yeah. Just quickly before we moved on to the banned books, I mean, I think you really nailed it. I mean, readers live 1,000 lives. They see 1,000 viewpoints. They develop empathy, critical thought. People like those you just described who read, who don't comply, are much harder to sell a simple narrative to. They tend to ask questions, which, as we know, are dangerous for any entrenched power structure. So let's get to those banned books.
Yes, and actually, just to circle back to on the point that you just made, I guess I didn't, that hit me. That actually just hit me. That through those extra perspectives, those extra backgrounds, those viewpoints, that's amazing. That's something that I didn't think about before. That is so lacking in kids. They don't look at other people's perspectives. Maybe the way we grew up. Maybe that's why our generation is so much more empathetic.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, my mind is being blown. Okay, well, PenAmerica.com, that's where I got this info, which records all these stats, has noted that in the last decade, 15,940 books have been banned or challenged in libraries, and especially public schools.
Wow.
Quote, this count refers to the total number of times books have been removed or restricted, not necessarily unique book titles, which were 1,557 in the 2022-23 school year. These bans have primarily targeted works by female authors, authors of color, LGBTQ authors, and are often related to themes of race, gender, and sexuality, end quote. And among these books, I had heard that The Giving Tree was on the list of being completely banned, but I was corrected with this website. It's not a national ban, but The Giving Tree here in the state of Colorado, the book was challenged and banned from specific public libraries and schools in Colorado since 1988 due to interpretations of the story as promoting a selfish, unhealthy, and potentially sexist relationship and environmental exploitation. Okay, I get it. I get it. It was a female tree, and she gave a lot to the boy, and I get it. Maybe it was a commentary on our overuse of resources and the environment. Okay, fine. But that is to raise awareness. And in fact, in 2006, a Kansas school district completely banned E.B. White's Charlotte's Web for unnaturally talking animals. Unnaturally talking animals, because we can't think for ourselves and realize, well, it's a story. It's fiction. And they considered these unnaturally talking animals blasphemous and a death to the spider that was inappropriate for children. My God. My God. Spiders die. People die. Animals die. Mm-hmm. None of us are getting out of this alive. So what is that? What have we become? That we must censor our children from the realities of being alive on this mud ball. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I mean, Charlotte's Web. I mean, what can I say? It's a story about friendship and sacrifice, the cycle of life. Mm. They ban it for talking animals and a spider's natural death. They make it about protecting children, which I don't believe at all. I think it's just reducing their world to this emotionless void. They don't. It's like they don't want kids to feel anything real. Mm-mm. And here's the kicker. They aren't just going after overtly political books like 1984. They start with Charlotte's Web and The Giving Tree, or if they can get away with banning books like these just for being sad or something, it makes banning a book about racial justice or LGBTQ identity much easier. I think they're just testing the waters. But let's talk about one of the perennial targets, 1984. It's interesting, I think, that everybody in the U.S. knows Big Brother, but hearing how a lot of people speak about him, removing the context, so it was like Big Brother is just anyone you disagree with or something, it makes me wonder how many of them actually read the book, and it's really scary to think how in so many ways we are actually living in Orwell's book, the erosion of language, constant surveillance, the shrinking range of debatable ideas. 1984 is the banned book that warns us about banning books. So I'll just wrap up with Ray Bradbury. He didn't just fear government censorship. He feared public apathy. And, of course, the most haunting line from Fahrenheit 451, you don't have to burn books to destroy a culture. Just get people to stop reading them. Yeah.
This enrages me.
Yeah.
This enrages me. Get them to stop reading, because the kids these days, and they have admitted it themselves, the generations coming up have admitted they don't have the attention span.
Exactly.
They don't have the wherewithal to actually muster through something that isn't a blurb, a paragraph. It's too exhausting. So
too taxing for our poor children.
And they feel it. They feel it. They talk about it on their own social media. So, dear listeners, today is September 4th, 2025. 2025. This Saturday, September 6th, is National Read a Book Day. Read a book. Do yourselves a favor and grab your kids. Head to a library or bookstore and rediscover the joys of raging against the bureaucratic machine that I feel is trying to dumb America down. Encourage your kids to read more. I'm letting my Gen X flag fly, but reading more is raging more against the machine. With that said, stay safe and stay alert out there, okay?
Yes, well said. So this National Read a Book Day, let's reclaim it. Don't just read any book. Read a banned book. Read a book that makes someone somewhere uncomfortable.
Yes.
Read to your kids about spiders who die and trees that give unconditionally. And remember that feeling, that power of getting lost in a world built from nothing but words and your own imagination. That's the anarchy they're so afraid of. Stay curious, stay angry, and keep turning those pages.
I want to buy things and have fun. I want some money. Can you give me some money? I'm sorry, said the tree, but I have no money. I have only leaves and apples. But take my apples, boy, and sell them in the city. And then you'll have money.
This has been a special edition of Deep Spinach, a production of Javi Media. For more information, send us a message via carrier pigeon. Thanks for listening.
Friends to know and ways to grow, a reading rainbow. I can be anything. Take a look.
Javi Media.